Let's have some pleasure.
Do you want to be obese or anorexic? Do you want to be a victim or an abuser? Do you want to be a parasite or a workaholic? If you want any of these, let me know in the comments below. I have a feeling that I won't get any takers. Nobody wants to be any of these. Nobody wants to be extreme. We want to be balanced. Too much of anything is not good. If someone's a couch potato, that's not healthy. That increases mortality. Exercise decreases mortality. Exercise is good. But too much exercise actually increases mortality again. Too much of anything is no good. But did you ever realize that people that are extreme a lot of times don't realize that they're extreme? I had a friend many years ago who was shy. She had all kinds of excuses, all kinds of sources of how being quiet, silence is a really good thing, how silence is holy. If she wasn't so shy, she would know that those were just excuses. And there was also someone I knew who would go to work when he was really sick. He didn't want to stay home. He didn't want to waste his time. He went to work. So that's terrible, right? You could get other people sick. But what about someone who doesn't have any coworkers? They don't get someone sick. If they're sick, should they still just push themselves and work? Well, a person could push themselves and make them sicker. If you keep pushing yourself when you're sick, it's not healthy. So you want to be balanced. You want to be on the balanced path. You want to aim the bowling ball straight ahead in the middle. You don't want to get on either sides of the gutters. So what's the litmus test to know if you're balanced? If the choice that you're making is a balanced choice, how do you know if it's extreme or not? And the answer is
Pleasure.
Yeah,
Pleasure.
The balanced choice is always going to be the most
Pleasurable.
If you're lazy and you don't do anything, it's going to end up being it's not going to be pleasurable. In the beginning, you think it might be pleasurable, but it's not going to be. I have first-hand experience. I know when I was in high school, I used to not really study. It could get depressing when you don't have anything, you don't have any goals, you're just coasting along. It gets depressing. And I watched other girls in my class that they were full of life. They were happy. They were working hard. They were studying hard for tests. They were getting good marks, and they seemed happy. But now, then you could study too hard. You could work too hard, but that won't be pleasurable. It'll take the pleasure out of it. So the right path, the balanced path, is always going to be the most pleasurable. So that's how you know if you're balanced. Just aim for the pleasure. Keep having pleasure. It's also with the comfort zone, right? People say, go out of your comfort zone, which is a good thing. You want to go out of your comfort zone. You don't want to just be, like I just heard someone today saying that your comfort zone is actually not so comfortable. The more comfortable thing is going out and meeting people and enjoying life. But if you're afraid of the world, if you're afraid to go out, that might be your comfort zone, but it's not so comfortable. But there's also the other side, which is going too much out of your comfort zone. There's a reason it's your comfort zone. There's a reason your insides are telling you to not do whatever it is that you don't want to do. There's a reason. You're trying to protect yourself, which maybe you need protection. Maybe you need to watch out. Maybe you need to hold back and stay in your comfort zone a little. So you have to have the right balance. What happened to me when I was in high school, a video I made entitled The Hardest Thing I Ever Went Through. I went out of my comfort zone and that backfired really bad. And I should have listened to my insides, what my subconscious was telling me. Don't do it, don't do it, don't tell her all your thoughts and feelings, don't. And when I did it, it had very bad negative effects on me. It pulled the rug out from under me, and for the next 2 years, I wasn't able to find firm ground to stand on. So you have to know, you have to have the balance. And the balance is the pleasurable thing. It's gonna be the most pleasurable. So feel it out. Feel out if this is pleasurable, how you're gonna feel after you do it. How you're gonna feel while you're doing it. Are you gonna be able to access the pleasure? Because if you can access the pleasure while you're doing it, that will be really pleasurable. And then there's also after you do it. Will it be pleasurable, the fact that you accomplished it? And both of those should be pleasurable. At least one of them, for sure one of them, but ideally both. But the other way around too. You don't want to be right by me after my comfort zone. Like after I went out of my comfort zone, I went through a very shaky time, and I learned how to be very tender and loving and nurturing to myself. But there's negative things to that too, because I'm going to set less goals to accomplish. I'm going to accomplish less. I'm not going to be as determined because I'm more into helping myself, making sure I'm feeling okay, making sure that I'm in a good place instead of accomplishing. But then once I heal, once I'm in a different place, I could go back to the accomplishing. And you know what? The thing that's the best for you at any moment, that's going to be the thing that's the most pleasure. Back when I was in that situation, I found it very pleasurable to do restorative yoga. That was like the most pleasurable thing. And now the kind of exercise I'll do, well, I'll still enjoy sometimes yoga, but like sometimes it's too slow paced, it's gonna be a little boring. Let's say now I'll like aerobics. But back then, I wouldn't have liked aerobics, it would have stressed me out. So the best thing for you is always gonna be the most pleasurable. Whatever the best thing for you to choose at any moment is going to be the most pleasurable, which is a really good feeling. You know that you could always make it. You just aim for the pleasure. Pleasure is a feedback mechanism. Trust it. Trust pleasure. Trust it that this is going to be the best path. And while we're talking about exercise, right? Too much exercise is not good. Too little exercise is not good. You need the right amount. So how are you going to know pleasure? The pleasure of while you're doing the exercise. You should be able to enjoy it. If you're not doing much exercise, it's not going to be so enjoyable. It's going to start getting boring. You're going to feel like you're not accomplishing anything. But if you do too much exercise, you're not going to be able to access the pleasure. So always focus on the pleasure while you're doing it. And if it's too hard for you, it's too much, you're too far beyond your comfort zone, you won't be able to access the pleasure. And that's a sign that you need to step it back a little. And then after you do exercise is supposed to give you energy. Getting Charlie horse feels good. It's a good feeling. But you don't want to get too Charlie horse that you can't access that good feeling. Like you can't, it's too painful. You can't feel the pleasure. It's like you just conk out and you can't even sleep because it's so excruciating. So that story with the girl that was very shy and was saying that silence is holy, she was trying to protect herself. She was staying too much in her comfort zone. What she needs is to come out of her comfort zone, start conversations with people. That will be pleasurable. Now, if she does too much of that, it might be too much out of her comfort zone that it has negative effects. She needs to find the right balance, but the right balance would be the most pleasurable. And that person that would go to work when he's sick, he thinks that would be the most pleasurable because he feels like he's accomplishing. But if he would go back and take a rest, go to sleep, he might feel so much better. Too much pressure on yourself. You're taking the pleasure out of what it is you're doing. You want to have pleasure. Pleasure is going to be the best balanced thing for you. Let's set out to do great things. You know you can.